Oh, that was good. That's better than ours. My,
I like
Companion
that.
was pretty good. They know their
that was
stuff.
really good.
Their stuff.
That's dope. We'll just get stuck straight into it if you can, because we've got 15 minutes and I feel this is going to go quite quickly. So, can I throw in the first question?
Jump in, man.
Cool. Right. So, it's me first. Shut up, Matt. So, Star Trek has shown us that keeping canon straight is actually quite hard, apparently, and Star Wars at times. Stargate was always really good at it, though, and we always talk about how keeping the canon was always really good in Stargate. There's not many times I think he made mistakes. How did you keep it all straight? You know, setting all these rules up and things. And were there any times that you can think of that it nearly went horribly wrong? Or
actually, the first time it went horribly wrong was in the opening scene of the pilot. But I've told that story. The Apophis stepped through and then stepped back, and we went, "You can't do that!" And so that we fixed it, sort of, not really. The reason we were pretty good at continuity is because we had a team of writers and directors that had so enjoyed working together that we just stayed for the longest time. I mean, I left this. I don't know of many cases, if any, where this has happened before, but I left the show for a bit and came back. Like I came and went, and just because I needed to recharge and spend more than a few days with my family. But I came back and it was, oh, hey, Brad, come back in. And I would always spin stories. And because it was me, Rob, for the, almost the entire show, Rob came on as a story editor early on. I think we were shooting the pilot. So from the beginning. And so there's that continuity. And then Paul and Joe came on in season 4. And so somebody basically would just raise their hand whenever there was an issue, whenever there was like, oh, wait a minute, man, can't do that, And sometimes we would go, have we broken that? Is that a rule? Can we do that? And then we'd say, sure. And so that's when you create new canon because you're not contradicting anything. But I think it was just the continuity of writers and directors, because on set, occasionally a director would say, oh, well, let's try this. And, somebody would say, no, you can't do that with a staff weapon. It doesn't work that way. It just does this. And so that was very helpful. Just the rules of going back and forth through a Stargate it's really handy when everybody knows what those rules are and you don't have to explain it to a new director because time is money in that situation.
Yeah. I mean, even when you went over to SG Atlantis and then SGU, it was sort of an extension of that team. It always felt
yeah.
And you knew it was, you watch the crew and it was like, oh, I know him from there. And
Rob and I both stepped back in the last 2 years of Atlantis a little bit. I mean, I kept coming in and helped break stories, and I wrote a couple. I think the Shrine happened in a year that I wasn't on fully, but that was also to help free some time to develop and come up with something new, because MGM was saying we're going to need what the next thing is, and for whatever reason, Atlantis had a hard time in terms of the business model going beyond season 5. That was that was a business model issue more than anything else.
MGM was imploding at the time. There's always,
they were. I know that it was scary. It was scary, and when they did implode, it was kind of heartbreaking, because people I knew, people I had talked to for years, and I would phone, and it would be, so and so no longer works at MGM, and you'd go, oh, do you have a number? So and so no longer works at MGM. That's all they would say. So yeah, it was kind of sad, and of course, we saw it coming in the last season of the Universe, and it was like the Titanic heading toward the iceberg. He was like, "Oh shit, we're gonna hit that iceberg." There's just no way around it. It was a slow motion perfect storm.
Well, it was heartbreaking for fans when it happened. It was and now MGM basically doesn't exist.
Well, I mean, they certainly do exist as a brand and as a library. And there are people who work at MGM now. Some of even the new people who I met when they asked me to write a pilot have moved on. So But MGM is one of the most recognizable brands in the world to this day. So that's, when Amazon buys something, it's more than just a library. It's that line.
Yeah. I saw my first movie last night that was MGM. It's called Killing Something. It's quite good, actually. But it was Amazon MGM Studios.
Oh,
That was
really?
my first one I've seen. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
It was a moment. I had to pause it like, that's a moment. Need to remember that. But anyway. Matt, do you want to jump in?
I do.
I'm sorry, we're out of time. No, I'm kidding.
You couldn't stop him. Oh, you wouldn't stop him. He'd reach for the screen and grab you if you tried.
You mentioned Stargate Universe there, which is probably my favorite of the three.
Thank you.
How much of a plan was there for Stargate Universe? How much can you tell us about where they would have gone had you?
Well, it all had to do ultimately with the mystery and the Destiny's original mission, and Rush and Twin Destinies in the second. That was intended to launch a whole new arc, because at the end of Twin Destinies, the crew basically gets sent to another timeline, and we're going to create, as we see in epilogue and beyond, a whole bunch of humans that we could run into, who would join in our quest, and help, keep the Destiny afloat and alive and going. And the transition was always supposed to be, and I think one of the problems with the show is we took too long to do this. It was supposed to be the wrong people on the ship. Like totally, these people are not supposed to be here, and then gelling over the course of a period of time to become exactly the right people to do the mission. And that mission ultimately was to find out what the ancients perceived as something, that evidence of an intelligence that existed before the Big Bang. Which had some spiritual impact on some people, but also a science point of view. And then, of course, the other fun thing about that is the ancients clearly figured that out, or they would have gone to Destiny. They launched the ship hoping to do this, and then went, "Oh, we got it," probably because they ascended.
I always imagined it was because they ascended. Yeah.
Looked, didn't they? Oh, there.
But we haven't ascended, and so the idea of the humankind taking over that mantle for our own purposes, I thought was always really interesting.
Would you have had? So you mentioned the descendants of the original crew that went back in time. Would you have had those join Destiny at some point?
Well, we certainly already encountered them, and because they moved on from that planet, I had hoped that we would see seeds of them elsewhere in the next galaxy when we arrived there. Eli was going to fix the ship, and we were going to emerge into a galaxy where there were also humans, and they were our own descendants, which is kind of cool. I just thought that was really cool.
Nice, yeah.
I remember the moment when I pitched that idea on the phone. I was in Arizona for some reason. I was on the phone with Robert and Paul and Joe, and they went, "Cool, we can shoot humans." Because I was always objecting to the fact that if we're a million galaxies away, why would we run into humanoids? That's why everybody was so alien when we met them.
The main question we got when we asked this out to fans was, will we get a conclusion to SGU? Will we get? And it's the question. I know you obviously we've no way of knowing, but it is probably the most thing we're asked.
I get asked a lot too, and whoever takes over the show may not even want to, continue in canon. But if they do, I'm pretty sure they have to answer that question. What happened?
Yeah.
I have come up with lots of ways, and in my pilot script, address the issue.
That's a good way of putting it. You address the issue. That's going to get people asking questions.
Well, I don't want to say what I did, because whoever does it might want to do something like that, and I don't want to put it out there. I mean, in some ways, it's kind of an obvious solution.
Put it in your memoir. tell us in your memoir, maybe?
Yeah, I'll put it in my memoir, Jay.
Okay, thank you. As long as you get it out at some point.
I can't write a memoir because I don't remember enough. It would be.
Well,
I don't know. I was working. I can tell you about what happened at my kid's birthday party that year, but I can't. The show is a blur.
Doing 22 or episodes, that must have just been. I mean, I hear stories about writing, literally writing and then filming next day and things like this, and just that it was just.
We were actually pretty good at staying ahead. I was a big believer of giving the crew, and still am a big believer in giving the crew time to prep a script, because you can't build the sets we were building with a script that you get it during prep. I was developing story ideas with the art department. A writer would say, what if we do this, and this? And I would go down to the art department, or for that matter, go down to the visual effects department and say, can we do this? If we do this, let's consider doing this. And then that would be too expensive. And so we would say, okay, well, let's build this for this show, but be able to repurpose the structure for this show. And you probably, for the most part, didn't even know what we had done that. But preparation in producing as a writer-producer puts money on the screen and keeps your crew alive. Having said that, your lead way goes away, right? You start with 10 scripts or however many scripts, and you think they're in great shape. But then when you read them, okay, time to do a pass on this script, you go, oh shit, I have to rewrite this thing completely. And it has generally less to do with the mechanism of the show, the mechanics of the show, than it does just the characters and the dialogue. There's a ton of Stargates where I remember writing scenes, and I'll see it and I go, I remember writing that scene, and then the episode the credit will happen, or I'll go back and see what the credit was. Like, oh, I guess I didn't write that one, or I did, but my name isn't on it.
No, because you're in the room.
I'm sure my job is to rewrite and make sure that the characters all have the same voices, and for production. And something you think will be a great script at the beginning of prep isn't necessarily going to work by the time you're in August and you don't have the money you thought you would.
I think it was actually Star Trek I was thinking about, that I heard stories about them literally writing scripts the day before and then sending them off. I remember watching Brent Spiner saying they got a script one night and you were filming the next day. And he was like, I'm supposed to learn 30 pages? And that's mad.
No, shit happens. And I've been in the situation where I've had to write for the next day. I mean, an actor gets appendicitis or something. You have to make changes. You have to make changes on the fly.
Or one of your actors fall over and hurts his ankle or something.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, shit happens.
These things happen. We wanted to ask a question that sort of get a feeling of a bit more about you and what sort of thing you still watch now. So if you got the chance to write an episode for something that was on TV now, or sci-fi or anything really, what sort of show do you think? What would you love to like? Oh, I'd love to write an episode for that.
Well, that's not really a fair question, because I think the answer is Star Trek. I got into this business. I got into this business in part so I could write for Next Generation, and I really wanted to write for that show. I thought it was the best show on TV, and so when Terry Matalas did season 3 of Picard, I was so jealous because I thought that ship had sailed. And then I told him so. I sent him a message and said, man, you just did my dream. And you did it really great. You did it better than I would have. So congratulations. But yeah, if anybody asked me to write and I don't care which Star Trek, I like them all. I would do that in a heartbeat. It's not going to happen, but I would do it. Okay? It's not going to happen because you don't bring in somebody from the outside as a freelancer anymore. That just doesn't happen anymore. It used to, but it doesn't anymore.
2 minutes, Matt. So go on. You got on there. Right. 2 quick ones at the end.
So I've got the question. Other than Zat Nicotel with the 3-shot rule, is there any other part of Stargate lore that you would have retconned in hindsight?
Probably. Honestly, there's a bunch of stuff that just, we ran through a lot of trees. Because you think you write exterior, and you have to. You can't shoot everything in the studio, but it's just at the end of the day, I mean, and I wish I could remove a couple of episodes just from the show. Like Emancipation is terrible.
We don't want to.
It's terrible. I know it is. I'm not dumb. I knew then. I was like, oh, this is going to kill us. But it's you can't rewrite history. I've done a series about that too, by the way. But you can't do it in real life.
I love Travelers. Travelers is one of my favorite shows. So.
I'm very proud of it. It's a good show.
I love that nobody noticed that the Zat looks like a penis. That you just didn't realize that?
Yeah, nobody noticed.
No. It never occurred to me until Michael Shanks told us anything. We got two quick fire questions. No. We got two really quick fire questions from fans. So one, TQ Bat asked us, how's your handicap these days?
It's down to a 13 index.
That's not bad. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I shot 82 yesterday.
Oh, that's very good.
That's pretty good.
Mine's rubbish. I've got like 3 or something.
It's a hard game, man. It's a hard game.
Yeah. It really irritates me. I hit the ball and it goes to 2 o'clock. So I think I'll aim over at 10 o'clock. Then it still goes to 2 o'clock.
No, you just need to adjust your grip, Jay. We'll talk about that another time.
Yeah. Anyway, last one.
Last one. This is from Grey Hammer. I think I've said that right. What do the furlings actually look like? Because we all have the image in our head of evil little Ewoks, but they're not.
Okay, sure, that's what it is. Here's how Robert was writing an episode called The Fifth Race, and he wanted it to be the fifth race because it sounded cooler than the fourth race. So as he was listing the things, we the Nox, he needed another name, and he came up with the Furlings. And I remember reading the script, and I went, Furlings? Who the hell are the Furlings? And he went, I needed another name. That is the extent of their creation. True story. Which is why we mocked it so much in the 200th episode, or the 100th, whichever it was.
So the Furlings are basically whatever we think they look like.
Sure. And if you think that we sat around going, I think the Furlings are this or that, no. It was Rob needed another name, and that's what it was.
We've said that
coming up with alien names is not always easy, and I think he probably regretted that one.
We've said the Furlings should be the villains in the new show when it ever comes out. So we joke about the evil Ewoks quite a lot.
Sure. Okay. It's probably not a very good idea, but to make everybody furry in a television show. But
those poor actors. Oh dear.
Yes, exactly.
Brad, thank you so much for that. That is astonishing. 15 minutes is not long enough, Lawrence. I hate you right now.
Well, I mean, I will lose my voice by the
good.
end of this. So you got first at least. So
it's
great to meet you guys.
Personally.
I watch your stuff. You know more about what's going on at MGM than I do, and I appreciate the insight. So thank you.
No, thank you. That's amazing for you to say. Yeah, we've been very, very lucky. Just stupidly lucky. But thank you so much.
All right, thanks,
you guys. See you.
All right, and